Hello and welcome to My Favorite Games Showcase. In this installment, the game is Serious Sam for the original Xbox, which I'll go on record as saying is probably my favorite first-person shooter ever made. Serious Sam was released in 2002, developed by Crow Team and published by Gotham Games. It is essentially a throwback parody of the early days of first-person shooters, where you didn't have to worry about things like taking cover, or complex squad teammate maneuvers, or advanced weapons, or anything like that. And this is really harkens back to the days of Doom or Hexen or Quake, when you just have enemies, you shoot at them, and then you proceed, you get key cards or whatever, and you just go on. But Serious Sam has the distinctive difference of putting literally hundreds of enemies on screen at once and having you mow them all down, and by the end of the levels tallying your score up and telling you that you just slayed 450 enemies in the course of 3 or 4 minutes. It's just insane. So yeah, Serious Sam, it's a pretty awesome game. The Xbox version was released in 2002 and combines both Serious Sam the First Encounter and Serious Sam the Second Encounter PC games into one version for the Xbox. So the way it works is you play through all of the First Encounter, and after you beat the climax of the First Encounter, then immediately after the First Encounter final level, the Second Encounter first level begins. So there's actually 2 Serious Sam games in one, so that's pretty awesome. The game has some pretty significant changes from the PC version. Now added to the Xbox version is an expanded score system, which allows you to get extra lives every 10,000 points that you acquire. Now that's good because this game is hard, and you're going to be dying a lot because the enemies, especially the suicide bombers, will come at you, and you'll be dying a lot. So because of that, you'll quickly rack up extra lives, and pretty soon you'll have dozens and dozens of lives. And so even when you die repeatedly, it's not frustrating, and you won't get a game over unless you really, really suck. Yeah, there are also new level checkpoints preventing you from maybe being able to save wherever you wanted, like in the PC version. There are now mid-level checkpoints. So if you have to turn it off your system, or you die or something, that's where you'll respawn. You won't just have to play the level over again. As well, the Xbox version adds split-screen co-op and LAN and deathmatch modes, among much more. So yeah, this is a very fully featured first-person shooter. I feel that as Xbox games age, games like Halo, that were very groundbreaking for their time in terms of their visuals, have really started to age quite poorly, and games like Serious Sam that focus mainly more on their gameplay age much more smoothly. Even now, I think Serious Sam is a great looking game, and it just plays brilliantly. So with all that said, let's show you some gameplay. Alright, so I'm going to turn on my Xbox here. Alright, let's get the disc out. Here we go. Alright. Let's turn on the TV. Now, unfortunately, Serious Sam is yet another example of an Xbox game that does not work on the Xbox 1.6, and that's the final revision of the Xbox hardware. So because of that, I have to grab out my my older Xbox that will run in HD. Otherwise, you'll just get a gibberish screen, and it's too bad. Serious Sam will also work for the Xbox 360, so if you have an Xbox 360 but don't have an original Xbox, you will play on that. It was remade on the Xbox 360 as the Serious Sam the First and Second Encounters HD, but those games are actually much more similar to the PC build, and require you to carefully save your health and everything, because there's no extra life system in those versions. Okay, so all that said, let's show you some gameplay. Alright, so let's start a new game. So, Serious Sam, the first encounter, takes place in ancient Egypt, and Sam will be transported back in time to go and basically fight off these space mutant things from an enemy simply called Mental. It's a really funny game, and it's really great too. Alright. So, as a first-person shooter, you typically have, you have your access to a gun. You'll quickly run into other guns, like this will allow me to dual wield. But it's funny because there's a whole bunch of other options that you can go to. Let's change the blood color. I can change it to hippie here, which will turn future blood when enemies get killed. Now they will bleed flowers. Now, even though the levels on the Xbox build are slightly smaller than how they appear in the original PC version, the levels here are still massive, way bigger than you'd probably expect. So here I'll go out. And you can begin to start to see the scale of things in this game, which is just crazy. And way off in the distance there, oops, there's... I love the enemies in this game. They're so inventive. This is, I don't know, like this is a rocket launch. This is like a robot chicken, alien robot chicken with a grenade launcher attached to it. Hippie. Let's see. Yeah, this thing. Hilarious. So the game encourages you to go off the beaten path and just kind of explore around, because hidden in the nooks and crannies of the stages are various hidden bonuses, which will give you either health bonuses or ammo or new weapons, or just simply treasure chests, which will allow you to gain more points, because like I said, every 100,000 points you'll gain an extra life. So that's what this treasure chest will do. Rockets. These are shells for the shotgun, and plus 200 health. Now in this version of Serious Sam, anytime you have health or armor beyond 100%, they'll slowly start to degrade with one armor less to back to 100% every second. So the benefit is just kind of, temporary. The game has multiple difficulty levels. I believe I'm only playing on just standard here, but there's a lot of replay here. And like I said, the game can be played entirely in co-op, local co-op split screen. So if you have a friend over, this is a great Xbox game to play. If you guys like first-person shooters, or if you like cooperative games, Serious Sam is one that you should not pass up. Alright, so So all that done, let's go back and let's enter the main complex. There are a number of other secrets, but I'm not going to find everything because, you know, I'm just for the sake of making the video interesting.
Until somebody loses an eye.
Sam's one-liners are, you know, harken back to the days of Duke Nukem and, you know, when that was in vogue. You know, even though this game is 10 years old, I still think it looks really great with this reflection from the water and, you know, the water effects here.
Yeah, baby.
So Serious Sam himself often makes references to Duke Nukem, and there's a hilarious line where he actually will call Duke Nukem on the phone and be like, "Dude, where's your game? I've been waiting for it forever." Yeah, so it's just this great little sort of throwbacks to gaming history, and especially first-person gaming history. As the stages go on, they get progressively more and more difficult, you know, as you'd expect, and there's just craziness in this game. It's just so fun to play. So these kamikaze heads, these are headless kamikazes that scream at you with bombs.
Oh, yourself. Uh-oh.
And they basically have no AI. They just rush right towards you, wherever you are. And, you know, that's really a criticism that you could probably say about most of the enemies in the game, is they don't really do anything where they take any sort of intelligent actions. They just sort of rush right towards you with no regard for their lives. But, like I said, this is not a thinking man's first-person shooter. This is a first-person shooter for people who just like straight-up action or old-school games. So it's perfect for me because that's exactly what I'm looking for in an FPS. So this is a save point. It wasn't in the original PC version of the game.
I'm over here, you stupid headless freaks.
There's all kinds of other references to pop culture and things. For the Xbox version, you can actually hotkey 2 sets of weapons to the Y and X buttons, allowing you to choose quickly cycle through the weapons with just a press of a button, which is something that's woefully lacking in the Xbox 360 remake. Gotta love it, because the enemies literally appear out of thin air. It's definitely a game to keep you on your toes. Test reflexes and such. There's one complaint about this first encounter. It's that the entire game takes place in ancient Egypt. So the locales start to become repetitive, and you know, it's like, okay, yet another temple, yet another chasm, you know, same things I've seen before 1,000 times. But the second encounter changes things up and makes the repetitiveness of the first encounter, you know, somewhat worth trekking through and putting up with, because the second encounter is just such a much better game and more balanced, and it just proves that Serious Sam is something that that really works even as games age, you know. You know, for as good as Serious Sam is, it has one major problem, and that is that the series is sort of really uneven in terms of the quality of each progressive game. Serious Sam and Serious Sam The Second Encounter were fantastic games, and the Xbox port here is subsequently also fantastic. But after that, things start to become a little dicey. Serious Sam was made by a different development team for the GameCube and PlayStation 2 called Serious Sam The Next Encounter. And that game is similar to this. It's for consoles only, and it's not bad, but it just sort of doesn't have the same charm as this Xbox version. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it was never actually released for Xbox. You know, so it uses like a lower quality graphics, and it's just not quite as good as this. It's not bad, but like I said, it could be better. After that, Serious Sam was also released for the Game Boy Advance in a sort of Doom-ish kind of game, and that was Serious Sam Advance. And Serious Sam Advance is, well, it's dreadful. It's one of the worst Game Boy Advance games I've ever played. After that was Serious Sam 2. Now, Serious Sam 2 tries to change things around and, I guess, revitalize the series. But for the most part, Serious Sam 2 doesn't have the same appeal as the first game. It's far more goofy, and not goofy in a funny way, but goofy in a cheesy way. And most recently is Serious Sam 3, or Serious Sam before First Encounter, which is sort of like a Serious Sam in modern times, I guess. The game looks beautiful, it looks brutal, you know, but is it a good game? Well, I don't know, because it's only for PC so far. It's supposedly supposed to be coming out for the Xbox 360 and maybe the PlayStation 3. But until that happens, I have no way of knowing. So I'm looking forward to it, but like I said, the Serious Sam games are sort of all over the place in terms of quality. As you can tell, ammo is never a problem. Gotta love this. A giant scorpion with a machine gun attached to its arm. That's the kind of humor you get in Serious Sam. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll put up a new video tomorrow, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.